I know that's all I'm seeing. I'm trying to confirm what's going on. We may have to go to
Twitch, right?
Yeah, we may have to. Let me get 1 second. Let me get my. There we go. I can see. All right, great. There we go. All right, there we go. Back up.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's Daniel, aka Next Ops here. I'm with Zeki and with Tamara.
Hi, how are you?
All right, we're live. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, my name is Zeki. I'm the CEO of Cratus Technologies. Thanks to Daniel and Tamara. We received a lot of questions. Tamara has been instrumental in reaching out to the community and gathering questions, and we're going to try to answer all your questions today. My name is Zeki. I am the CEO of Cratus Technology. As I said, we are a monitoring as a service company. We specialize in monitoring and understanding what's going on to your or around your valuable, perishable, or important assets in manufacturing, transportation, and all the way to secure delivery environments. We are a sensors and sensing systems technology company as well. So our system, our cloud platform, looks like an API to the physical world in any business operation that involves handling physical products or assets. So I hope this is a good introduction for those of you who are joining us for the first time or who's listening to our presentation. We would be happy to answer any other questions regarding the technology. If you would please send your questions to Tamara. So within the last few days, we have received quite a few questions about how we're operating and what we're intending to do by the use of the Burst blockchain, and also what our schedule is looking like. So I have to clarify that we are a traditional business in Silicon Valley, a traditional Silicon Valley startup. We work with many industries and many markets for their monitoring needs. Our customers dictate and request certain functions, features, and basically they lead us into certain market verticals. For those of you who have listened to my presentations before, you know that we are heavily focused on biopharma market. So this can be biological specimens, pharmaceuticals, anything that's related to healthcare or the well-being of human beings. We monitor and understand the condition of involved materials, involved equipment. We also work with food and beverage industry. What we eat is what we are. So we want to monitor the handling and the delivery of the food items, also beverages. So we have a good few use cases in this market. Other markets are sensitive materials, as we classify them, that can be impacted by environmental factors. It can be a work of art, or it can be a sensitive equipment that is used for high-tech purposes. We have sensors and also other data sources such as barcodes, QR codes, NFC tags that can attach to these physical objects, and they can monitor the condition as well as the position or the custody events around these goods and materials. As we are a business driven by the market and driven by the requests from the customers, we are using Burst blockchain to store data and to store their immutable records. We are not in the business of generating high or low volumes. We are not in the business of generating um, uh, a a system around uh, financial structure of the burst chain, but we're basically using the burst chain as a blockchain to address the needs of the customers. And as the customer demands the immutable records or untamperable data storage, we are intending to start the use of the Burst blockchain. So we are in test phases right now, and we are basically doing incremental repetitions and incremental progress on the testing of our use cases in these markets that I mentioned. Now, you can easily appreciate, as we are a business, we cannot disclose very specific use cases in some of these markets because we run into applications or use cases where uh, we are dealing with only one entity that governs the use case across the nation, and that would make it obvious, and we're bound by the NDAs that we have signed by with these institutions. So we are using the Burst blockchain to uh, store the immutable records and translate this value directly to the customer, where we don't have any financial gains or whatever. So we are basically serving the needs of the customers, and as they require these immutable records, we're going to be starting to use the Burst blockchain. In terms of the ICO, we have received some questions about this. We are not intending to do an ICO. As I said, we are a traditional Silicon Valley startup, and we are not intending to do an ICO. And we raise funding by two means. One of them is accredited investors and institutional investors, the traditional institutional investors. And the second is by contracts that we execute on. So we basically, customers come to us and we basically execute on their project. Might be a licensing agreement of our IP or our sensing and sensors, or it can be a consulting business. But we are not monetizing anything on Burst blockchain right now, and we are using it for serving the customer and serving their needs and translating the value into the customer's requirements. So this is basically in a nutshell what we do overall, and maybe a few of the questions are answered. But I'd like to actually ask Tamara if there's any other questions that came around, and we can actually
Do you have
address
anything?
those.
From here, I believe that you've covered everything. You did go over the expectations, the concerns, the purpose of why you're doing this, why you're not doing an ICO, because then from then it went to which blockchain you would use. Since you're not anticipating on doing an ICO, there's no need to follow up on that. And then you answered why you wouldn't be doing an ICO for now, since you're choosing traditional channels.
Yes.
So, is there anyone that has any questions?
No questions have been asked here on the screen, so I mean.
They asked for this.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, they asked for this. They wanted to talk to you, so.
Okay. Well, I'd like to elaborate a little bit more actually about our interaction with Burst blockchain. We love to use Burst blockchain because of one reason, and this is the community. Burst blockchain is not associated with any entity with financial interests, and Burst is fueled by a community of supporters. It's an open source platform, which we have not forked out of, by the way, and it's a public chain. So we know that the support and the community is always going to be there. A prime example of this is Daniel and Tamara. They have no reason to help me out, but they do help me out because we have synergy between what we do and the burst. So uh, this is just one example. I receive comments, questions, or I receive some communication from other members of the community as well, which I welcome. Well, I'm a human being, and
Yes,
you
you're not
all
a
can
robot.
you all can reach out to me about any of these questions as well, and my contact information is available. Um, the community that we see around Burst and the passion of the people who are contributing to this community and to this effort is great. And we know that it's going to be around forever because there is no financial institution or institutional or an institution with financial interests are behind this. So this is one of the reasons why we're working with Burst, and I hope that answers that part of the questions as well. There was a question about that as well. I guess why are you using Burst? Why aren't you using anything else? Well, because it's available to us. We have great support. There's a great community, and all our interactions have been nothing but great with the Burst community so far. So we love to work with Burst, and the openness and um, uh, the interactions between the community are great, and it serves our purposes perfectly fine, so that we can serve our customers better. So
All right,
this
so
is
we did get a couple of questions.
yes, Daniel.
So, what technical challenges did you face using Burst?
Well, we have not we have not received. I mean, we have not had any technical challenges because of the exact same thing that I was just talking about. Daniel has helped us out to put our data and test our data being placed on the Burst blockchain. And he has sat down with our developers and explained how it can be done. He has even crafted some scripts to basically make our life easier so that we can actually start testing. And uh, that was really no technical challenge. It was out of the box operation for us. So this is something that we really appreciate because when we approach to other blockchains or other entities or institutions or other communities that are operating around the blockchain technology, um, we saw a great deal of pushback or reluctance on helping out and so on and so forth, which we have not experienced in Burst, and that's why we're here. So I hope that answers the question.
All right, so then will all the records on the chain be public? Well, yes, but
Well, I mean, the records are going to be, I think, visible on the chain that they are coming through a Cratus related operation, but the details of the records it will depend on the use case and the customer requirements. We are dealing with some use cases where even Cratus as a company does not see the records, the details of the records, or the contents of these records because of the requirements from the customer. So, but there's going to be transactions visible, but the details of those transactions will be dependent on a customer by customer basis. So a small customer might be generating a lot of transactions, but a large customer might be generating small amount of transactions. It'll all depend on what the customer will want to store on the blockchain, and and how much data they're going to be, or what portions of their data they're going to want to make immutable or accessible, and so on and so forth. So it's really hard to tell at this point.
okay, so the next question is, how did the clients react to you using the Burst blockchain?
Well, how did the clients react to us using Burst? Well, as we see right now from our discussions with our clients, um, they don't have any preference one way or the other. I mean, as we're dealing with industries which are so old and so slow moving, and they're wanting to get into one technology slowly, and they want to start testing the waters. They as long as there is a support behind the technology, and as long as there is a community around it, they feel just fine. I mean, they're basically coming to us for solving a need around sensing and monitoring and optimizing their operations. Maybe saving money, and maybe sometimes in emergency cases, saving lives, and recording these things on an immutable chain, which we chose to be the Burst chain. So we did not receive any pushback, or we did not receive any reluctance from the customers uh, towards Burst blockchain. So
All right, so the next question is, people want to know a time frame to start using Burst to hold your transactions, and then they're asking for transaction volume.
Which you already covered that.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah, I
already
mean,
kinda
when we're going to
covered.
start using for commercial purposes or for customer needs and the transaction volumes, as I said before, I mean, we're basically doing ongoing iterations on testing, and it's an iterative development process, and we don't have a clear timeline, but we're going to be doing more and more announcements as we come closer to deployment dates, and we're going to be keeping everybody informed. But right now, we don't have a definite timeline in mind. So we're basically doing iterative testing and developing the use cases and developing the technologies around these use cases. And some of them are limited by Cratus because um, uh, the monitoring solutions that the customer needs before even we start storing the data, it basically needs to be resolved. I mean, some customers are coming to us for sensing so interesting um, phenomena. We first need to understand or solve the sensing problem, and then transferring this data to first our cloud servers, and solving the algorithmic problems over there first, and then we're going to basically get onto the storage on the Burst chain. So these are all a development effort, and we're basically doing iterative development steps in all these technologies and in all these steps of the way. So we're moving forward, and everything is going fine, and we're basically uh, expecting to see more announcements, and expecting to give you more announcements as we go along.
So if the burst price increases, will it have a substantial cost increase?
That's
I,
scalability.
I think that's a scalability question, and I think that that question needs to be further vetted because I think it's missing something. Next question someone has that wasn't a repeat question. How many engineers do you have on staff total?
As of today, we have 17 engineers that's available to us.
All right, and then one person wanted to say, can someone clone Daniel? No, they can't.
They
Maybe.
cannot. You guys cannot clone. If Daniel could have been cloned, I would have cloned him already, so that he's with me all the time here.
Yeah. All right, and then let's see. Eladian wants to know, or actually, well, next question. How do you deal with the fact that sensitive data will be publicly available forever? You want to talk about the public-private key solution?
Well, I mean, there will be some data that will be publicly available. Yes, that is correct. But there's going to be some encrypted data as well, and then there's going to be some key exchanges as well. So, as I said before, some of the data will probably be visible to anyone, everyone, but some of the data will probably be privileged or protected by encryption. And in some cases, even we're not going to be able to see the data, and the customer is going to be providing the data with their own, encrypted with their own keys, and we're just going to be facilitating some transactions over there. So, I mean, in terms of storing data and basically putting data back. So, it's really hard for me to tell what's going to be visible, what's not going to be visible. But it's a case by case thing again. And there was a question about scalability. We have no doubts about the scalability of the Burst chain because of the public support, as I'm saying, and there's a lot of nodes. So we're not basically limited to a chain where they've got only limited resources, and if one of those nodes go down, they cannot actually uh, store the data properly, or basically performance goes down. I believe Burst chain is very scalable, and that's why we have no doubts or reservations about using Burst blockchain.
Someone else is
Daniel?
asking now, would you be interested in speaking about Burst and how you're using it at a conference or at a larger public setting?
Oh, Absolutely. It
You
depends
have
on what kind of event it is, and if it basically falls into my area of expertise, and how would be if I can talk about it, I would. I would like to know the context first, but I would be happy to talk about my domain of expertise, which is basically monitoring and how monitoring can be made better, and how the data can be secured in an immutable way um, in our use cases, in monitoring as a service, or logistics and asset monitoring space, or transportation space in the verticals that we're catering to, biopharma, it would be food and beverage, and sensitive items, and so on and so forth. I would be happy to contribute to any effort. Yes.
Next question. Any missing features you would like to see implemented on Burst?
I think it's getting a little bit technical. I need to talk to my technical team about this, but I mean, any missing features? For the time being, I have not brought up any concerns, and I've not been exposed to any big roadblocks or problems. I think usability is just fine. As I said, Daniel helps us on a regular basis whenever we have a question. But a question has never become a problem so far, right? I mean, we basically ask a question, and it's right there. I mean, we just basically we're limited by our own means right now, in terms of the engineering resources and the speed of execution on our end in terms of pushing these solutions out into the market. So we have not run into any roadblocks or snags or delays because of the availability of the technology to us from the Burst blockchain perspective. So I hope that answers that question.
All right, and then someone's asking, let's see, there was a repeat, kind of the same question about the missing feature, but let's see, so you store sensor data on the chain, and then how do you prove the data has been generated by that sensor? And I think that's...
Well, I think this is basically an end-to-end integration question. So the authenticity of the data that is stored on the chain would be provided by the keys that are installed in our sensors, and the serial numbers that are hashed of our sensors. And this sometimes does not even need to be a sensor. It can be a barcode, it can be an NFC tag, it can be a QR code. And the authenticity of these pieces of data, or the location authenticity, for example, can and is being secured by keys that are placed in various modes of operation, right? So if it's a sensor, we have keys inside the sensors. If it's a mobile device, a mobile phone is being used for transmitting data, we have keys for that, and the keys are installed in our gateways as well. So every step of the way, a security measure can be taken, and this can be actually crafted depending on the use case and the customer demand as well, or customer request as well. So the authenticity of the data that's being placed on the chain is not a concern at this point. So it's basically perfectly end to end clear.
And then someone's asking, Cratus HQ, Silicon Valley. Let's see, then someone's asking...
Yeah, we're located in San Jose downtown, yeah. And we have an office in Santa Clara as well. So,
and then someone else is asking how the community can help Cratus. It's the last question.
Great. So, I mean, we really appreciate the offer to help. So, there's a few ways. First of all, accelerating our development effort. Any contribution in that end would be appreciated. You can reach out to me directly if you would like to participate or take part in what we do. The other source of publicity for us is basically talking in conferences or in events in settings like this. So I would be happy to entertain any request, or if it falls into my domain of expertise, I would be happy to contribute. myself, and also present in events and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, we are a startup, and we try to make big things with small means. So anybody who would like to contribute in that domain, we appreciate your contribution. So please reach out to me, and we can discuss further.
And then someone asked, how did you first hear of Burst?
Well, I happened to meet Daniel and Tamara. So that's basically Burst was introduced to us by Daniel, and he basically talked about the benefits of using Burst and how Burst compares to other systems out there. And we thought that it was a great system because of some of these things I explained, right? Pretty open community, pretty supportive community, but also scalable and does not depend on one entity or institution that has got some financial gains out of it. So we are basically working with a community of contributors to the technology. So that's basically how it all happened. So we bought into the idea and we basically started working together.
All right, and then
So-
I think that covers all the questions now.
Okay.
And then, Tamara, do you want to talk about the DocuSign?
Yes,
real quick?
yes.
And then thank
Yeah, I'll
you,
give
Zeki,
it
for.
I'll give it to Tamara right now. And thanks a lot, everybody. My name is Zeki, and my email address is zeki@cratustech.com. And Tamara has been posting about us anyway. And the best way to reach me is via email. I answer all my emails. And I'm hoping to catch up with you again. And thanks a lot for your time on a Saturday. And hoping to talk to you and communicate to you in the coming days. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Zeki. Everybody saying thank you.
Hi everybody. I was just gonna tell you I have actually set up with Olga to do a docathon over here at Action Spot tomorrow, and we're going to be writing out profiles for those that are missing. I believe it's over 1,000 people that are missing right now, and about 73 that have been found deceased. So we're just trying to collect funds, bring awareness to them. I also did set up the Burst wallet to give to the victims, and this is also for anyone out there that's willing to donate or that wants to contribute. If we get enough Burst in, and if they need to be paid through Burst, whatever it is that we can do to contribute to these victims in Paradise and in Concoy, which a lot of people have not been made aware that there are still a lot of victims in that area and they haven't been found. I have also been fortunate enough to be reached out by Tony Lane, and she has agreed. Some of her friends have offered to semi-permanently house about 17 displaced women. So I'm also trying to get the word out there so that if anybody's looking for a place to stay, we do have a housing location for about 17 people. And I also do want to thank the Burstcoin and Everpedia community for helping me through the process, as well as Tony Lane, pretty much everyone, Akasha, Women in Blockchain, International, just everyone that's helping to spread the word for this. Because this is kind of when we as crypto communities can come together to help and show just how it can all work out, how we can help people, how this is a natural economy that could rebuild other economies, and how there are immutable ways of tracking these types of disasters. So that's pretty much it on my end. I will be here at Action Spot tomorrow, 10 a.m. Again, any developers out there, anyone, even if you guys want to do it remotely, I can teach you how to get it done. I will be posting instructions later on today, and we will have a setup. So please do reach out to me. I'm on Telegram, pretty much Twitter, everywhere. If you got to this stream, then you know how to reach me. So please do reach out to me. Thank you.
All right, Daniel. Excellent. So basically, we're going to close this out. We are scheduling for a hackathon to be done around first quarter 2019 in Northern California. I encourage everyone to work together who would like to participate. It will be Burst Hackathon, so please get together and let's schedule a time frame. We'll be hosted here at Action Spot. You guys have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. See you soon.